Hey, how's it going, guys? It's your boy RapTRz here, bringing you my Countess build. In this build, we're going to focus on her early game, because that's what the most problem that Countess has, is her early game is not as strong as most characters. So we really capitalize on that in this build. And anyways, I'm going to show you the foundation you need to build, and from there you can really start building this build into whichever way you want. It's really situational, very versatile, and we're going to show you exactly how I build this up for you guys. Overall, Countess is an assassin, so you need to play her as an assassin, not a fighter. So she's not a front line. This build focuses on getting pretty good burst damage, but while still having some other options in which you could slot for yourself. That will help her split push just as efficiently, or maybe you can have an escape and a little bit of health, or you can add a little bit more health if you want that option. But anyways, we're going to get right into it, and we're going to show you what she's all about, because Countess is a really good character if you know how to build her the right way. So let's get right into this. Alright, guys, so in this build we have an Adamant edge with 2 minor strikes and a lesser health. On your next 6 points, you're going to get your other Adamant edge, fill that out with 2 lesser health and a minor strike. So basically these 2 Adamant edges are going to give you that health and that damage output that you're going to need just to sustain your lane, also to do pretty good damage with both Adamant edges. But we're going to throw some lesser health in there just to have some low health going. And then your third minor card is going to be a 6-point fountain spike. You're going to fill all that out with basic manas, but that should give you around 300 mana with the fountain spike. So basically you have your pool of mana with fountain spike, and then you have your Adamant edges with your health and your damage. So the next card you want to start building is your Brawler's Ward. I usually like having a ward in every single deck. You're supposed to have a ward in every deck you make, no matter what it is, whether you're a ranger, support, whatever it is. Make sure you always have a ward. In this one, we're going to put 2 major strikes and advanced mana. On your next card, you want to get a Pendulum of Lords. I like having a Pendulum of Lords because you're going to use your abilities a lot more often than fighters do, because you're dependent on abilities, and Countess is really dependent on abilities to do her damage. So we're going to put 2 advanced chronos and an advanced mana again, just so we can have another pool of mana. And with this, you're going to get 20% cooldown reduction. And don't forget, if you have blue buff, it will cap it off at 40% cooldown reduction. So make sure when you're playing Countess to always be getting that blue buff whenever you can, because you will be topped off at 40% cooldown reduction. Then you also have 2 Void Steel daggers. You have 1 Void Steel dagger with 2 major strikes and a pierce. Then your other Void Steel daggers, the exact same thing, 2 major strikes and a pierce as well. Then you're going to have your health card. It's going to be the Amulet of the Veteran. You're going to have a major strike, a health, and a lesser health. When it's fully upgraded, you're going to have 600 extra health, which is, I think, is more than enough to be able to go in there, engage, do your combo, and get out. A lot of people, they tend to build a little bit tanky with Countess, but I found that this is not the best way, because you don't have as much burst, and Countess's basic attack is not as good as a fighter, so you really want to sacrifice some health for extra damage. Now, if you think you need more health, then go ahead and throw another health in there, but I recommend that you throw a major strike in there just so you can get that more damage. So when you have all this filled out, you're gonna have 5 points left over. So there's a couple options that you could do. Scourging Tails with a strike in it, just because I think it's more than enough pen, and plus the Scourging Tails is based off on hit with ability, not just for one target, but for multiple targets if you can hit him with your abilities like your Dark Tide. Also, I like having my Scourging Tails in this deck because I can equip it usually in the early game just with 3 points and get that shred going with that 80-point shred. It's really useful. Just use it before you combo and before you ult, because it'll shred the early game armor that people are building. So that's your other option. You can have the Scourging Tails with a strike in it. The other option I do like having is a Blink Charm. We also have a Blink Charm, which is really good for escaping as Countess. The other option you do have with your other 5 points is you can get a Charging Brute, which is my personal favorite. Why do I like having the Charging Brute? Well, because the Charging Brute, it helps me split push a lot more efficiently. When I'm split pushing, I'm usually going to have that activated the whole time, because I'm going to be killing minions, and it provides a good escape for Countess, because you could just blink onto a minion and then you could just get that movement speed and you could be on your way. So that's why I like having it, just because I have that split push ability that it helps me push a lot better as Countess. Or if you want, you could just tank your blink shot. The other option you do have with your other 5 points is you can get the clear heart card, which basically it gives you 15% additional health healing when you kill an enemy. So basically Countess's passive is when you kill a minion, you get 4% of the minion's health, or you can get 40% if you kill a hero, which basically is going to increase your healing, or your basically, yeah, when you kill a minion or a hero, you're gonna get 15% additional health, which is cool, which it focuses on health. But for me, I'd rather have the charging brute, so I can lane clear a lot better, or have the scourging tails with a strike in it, so I can have more damage and more shred. But if you want to take the clear heart, that's another option that you could have, which will give you more health when you do kill a minion, or when you kill an enemy hero as well. So basically this build is very versatile. Once you have your 2 Adamant edges and your fountain spike, you have built a foundation to start building this deck to whichever liking you want. So it's basically, you can start building your Brawler's Ward first, you can build your Chronos with your Pendulum of Lords, or if you need more health, you could build your Amulet of the Veteran, or if you want that early game damage, a lot more damage, you can go ahead and build your Void Steel Daggers first. You know, there's no order, but once you get those 2 Adamant edges and that fountain spike, you're pretty set for the early game, and you can start building whatever you want. So this is why I really like this build. It's really, you know, situational to what you have to, you know, adjust to, and that's what makes a really good deck, is having, you know, situational and being versatile. So this is why I really like it. And you do get capped off at around 200 and something damage. Your ult still does that, you know, that whopping 1000 something damage. Right here in the next clip, I'm gonna show you how I build it up in a certain game, and then we can show you the skills at the end as well, how much damage each skill does. So we can cut it off to that right now. So when you start off, grab your health potion and your 2 mana potions. If you don't have 2 mana potions, then go ahead and take a strike token, you'll be just fine. But if you do have those 2 mana potions, go ahead and take your shadow slit first, and you can use that to last hit. It'll be a lot safer and a lot faster. So on your first 6 card points, you can go ahead and take your first Adamant Edge with 2 minor strikes in it and a lesser health. This lesser health is going to give you a little bit more lane sustainability, make sure Countess is not as squishy, but still getting that damage. On your next 6 card points, go ahead and take your other Adamant Edge with a minor strike and 2 lesser healths. Last but not least, you're going to get your last 6 points and grab your other minor card, which is going to be the Fountain Spike for that extra mana. So the next card you want to start building is your Brawler's Ward. Get that vision going early as you can. We have 12 points. Get that Brawler's Ward. We get that Major Strike, Advanced Mana, and that Major Strike. In this game, they had a Rampage and a Greystone building armor early. So we go ahead and we get rid of our Strike token and get rid of our Mana Potion and go ahead and take that Scourging Tails for that 80-point armor shred. It's going to be great getting things, all that early game armor. We have our damage going with our Adamant Edges, a little bit of health going. We have our Mana Pool with our Fountain Spike. We have that 80-point shred, and we have our damage and our mana with our Brawler's Ward. So on your next 12 points, you can go ahead and start building your Pendulum of Lords. So get that 20% cooldown reduction. So we're going to slot our Pendulum of Lords in our passive slot. Go ahead and take the Advanced Chrono, or Advanced Mana, and Advanced Chrono for that 20% cooldown reduction and extra mana. So by this point in the game, go ahead and get rid of your Adamant Edge with 2 lesser health in it, and go ahead and take your more damage with that Void Steel Dagger. So get those 2 major strikes going and that Pierce going. By this time, you can go ahead and get rid of your Fountain Spike. You should be fine on mana with your Pendulum of Lords and your Brawler's Ward. Like I said, I kept this a little bit longer than I should, but you can go ahead and get rid of your Fountain Spike a lot earlier in the game, and you can go ahead and get that Blink Charm or that Charging Brute a lot earlier as well. In this case, I took my Charging Brute. With this, you're going to have 2 points left over and fill out that Scourging Tails that has that strike in it. So by this time in the game, you can go ahead and get rid of your Adamant Edge and go ahead and take your Amulet of the Veteran. With the Amulet of the Veteran, go ahead and get that Major Strike, the health, and that lesser health. When it's fully upgraded, you will have 600 extra health. So by the late game, you have to make the decision on whether you want to keep your Scourging Tails, get rid of that extra shred, or if you want to get rid of your Charging Brute. So I went and go ahead and get rid of my Scourging Tails because I really need the pen, or you can go ahead and keep the Scourging Tails and get rid of your Charging Brute or your Blink Charm. This is what I like about this build, because in the late game, it's really icing on the cake, because by this time you've been rocking your Scourging Tails with your Charging Brute. So in the late game, you just really decide whether you want to keep it or not. if you need the escape or that extra armor shred, whichever you want. So like I said guys, after you build your Adamant edges and your fountain spike, you can go ahead and build whatever cards you want, because from there it's really situational. Whatever you need, go ahead and build it. I usually like taking my ward because I like having my ward early, and then after that you can go ahead and take your Amulet of the Veteran if you think you need more health, or if you can take your cooldown reduction, or you can take your Void Steel daggers if you want that more damage early on. It's really up to you guys. So this is what I like about this build, because it's really versatile. So this is how your skills look with the full build at 60 card points without the Scourging Tails. So it's basically a little bit less damage with it without the Scourging Tails, because the Scourging Tails does have a strike in it, and the Charging Brute only has 6.5 strike in it. So your Shadow Slip's going to be doing 150 damage, your Dark Tide's going to be doing 431, your Feast's going to be doing a whopping 1083 damage, your basic attack, your Slice, is going to be doing 136, and your Blade Siphon's going to be doing 261 damage. So that's it guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the build video. I really put a lot of time into these build videos, into testing these builds out, making sure they're the best that they can for these heroes. So always keep in mind that you're not a fighter, you're an assassin. This is what this build is for. Focuses on your abilities, doing that burst damage, and getting out of the fight. You're not a frontline fighter, and you're not the person to initiate fights. You're the person that picks off and does that burst damage to those people that are necessary to kill in team fights, like their carries and people who are just dealing a lot of damage. You want to focus on them. They usually don't build too much health, so that's why you got that pen in there, just in case they do build a little bit of armor. But that's what you guys want to focus on, do that damage and get out. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I do put a lot of work into these. I also have a Muriel build. If you play Muriel, go ahead and check that one out. It's a really nice build as well, in which I myself use all the time. And I also check out my other videos. I have a mini movie. It's called RapTRz Replays, called Epic Comeback. In the lower half of the video, the last cut, there's a mini movie which is really sick, really dramatic and cinematic. So I hope you guys check that out as well. But let me know what you guys think about the build, or any questions at all, and I'll feel free to answer them guys. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for stopping by guys. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I appreciate your viewership. So thank you guys.